What is going on, you guys? Welcome to Garage Denali. In this video, I'm doing a little DIY here for you guys. So basically, the problem here is I got an expansion tank, and that is dripping coolant right down here. This is a new tank, as you can see, and right here under the main attachment where this goes into the expansion tank bracket on the radiator, this O-ring in here is no good anymore. And I've had the tank in this car for like 4 years now, and it seems to be failing on me. You can see up here, looks like the cap is also, the O-rings in the cap are no good anymore, and therefore that's why you get all this residue here. So I'm just taking this time to go ahead and replace this tank. I'm going to do it preventatively, well, partly preventatively, because these tanks are notorious for cracking on these cars. This is the Achilles heel of the E46. The tank is okay, the only problem is that O-ring, and you can't buy that O-ring separately, and I'm not going to gamble on trying to find an approximate size O-ring to use in there. I'd just rather use the original part, which basically comes with this tank here, as you can see. This one's brand new, got an O-ring in here for that fitting. And yeah, this DIY is going to show you guys how to do that. It's going to show you how to change the automatic transmission thermostat, which goes right in here under the tank, which I have right here. Oops. Here's our automatic transmission thermostat right in here. And we got a little cap in here as well. This is our 1.4 bar cap from the E30. So basically this reduces the pressure and it prolongs the life of the cooling system component. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do here is take out these little bolts. So you got 3 right up here. You got 2 and you got 3. These are holding the belly pan on. Then you got 2 screws here on each side. 2 here, 2 over there. Get those out. And then you got another 2 screws down here holding the belly pan on. Okay, so after you get the belly pan removed, we got to get this 22mm nut off. And in order to do that, or at least before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to open the cap and the bleeder screw to let all the air in. So therefore this flows out nice and easily, or at least whatever is left in the tank here and in the radiator. So I just used a screwdriver. I got the bleeder valve off, bleeder screw out, let all the air in. So at that point, when we go down here and take our 22 and open this up, all the fluid will come out and we'll get as much of it out as we can. So you want to have your container ready here. So I'm just using an antifreeze gallon here so I can catch all the fluid of whatever remains. So just like that. So I got it off, and now all the fluid is draining into the container. And the reason why I have the car flat, the reason why I don't have it on ramps, is so all the liquid can remain even, you know, in all the most bottom portions of the car's cooling system. So basically I can drain as much of it out through here as I can. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to get all this duct work out of the way. So just get a pair of pliers, and you pull these 4 pop rivets out so we can get the air shroud out. And this just comes out easily. Just like that. Put it aside. Now what we want to do is we want to get our air filter housing out. So this is just held in with a couple 10mm bolts. Put those aside. Now I can remove our air filter. So this is just held in with a couple tabs here. Just pop these out. Detach your wiring harness. And just like that. It too comes out. We'll put this aside as well. So you see all the coolant that is sprayed onto this. It shows you just how bad this problem was. That all this residue shouldn't be here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the upper radiator hose. That's the first of a couple connections we've got to get loose here so we can get the tank out so we can change it with the new one. So you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to get this connection out, but this little flap here, this plastic tab, this comes right out, just like that. So it would be easier if you just pull this off. So just pull up on these clips You got one on the radiator and one on the expansion tank. Pull them up and basically just pry the connection, you pry the hose off of the tank. Finally, I got it off. As you can see, it's really just two fittings right here that hold it on, but those are solid O-rings. That's why I wanted to get an OEM part, because all the other stuff is really just junk. It doesn't last, but also because it's the way the car was designed, and this car having such low tolerances, you have to use the proper stuff. Finally, we got this out. I'm just going to disconnect it at the thermostat so it's a lot easier to work. Alright, so we got this broken free. So this is our upper radiator hose. Put it aside. So I'm not sure how well you guys can see this, but there's another hose down here which goes into the side of the tank. You got to disconnect this also. Alright, so we got that out. We're losing some more coolant, but that's okay. Just make sure you have a pan underneath so you can catch it all. We really only have like 2 more connections until we get this tank out, which is good. There's a pin under here. You just pull this pin out to unlock the tank from the bracket. And then the tank is pretty much ready to come out. Just like that, broke free. Really shows you how bad that O-ring was, but it's pretty much broken free. It's good to go. And just like that. You also want to be careful of your coolant level sensor. You don't want to break that. It's very brittle, so you want to carefully twist that off and gently, ever so gently pull it out. Just like that, there's our tank. I'm not sure how well you guys can see, but this O-ring is pretty much flat, so it's no surprise that this started dripping from here. But yeah, this is basically where it was dripping from. And it looks like the seals up here for the cap started giving out as well. And ironically, the little bleed screw hole on top of the upper radiator hose, there was fluid coming out of there as well. So I just bought all 3 parts brand new. So I'm gonna just do an overhaul right here. This tank was still okay. Like I said, these are notorious for cracking down the sides somewhere. Luckily this was still okay, but the problem was this O-ring down here. The reason why I also bought an automatic transmission thermostat is because this one is known to break when you pull it out, and that's this guy right here. And this is under the center opening for the tank. It looks like this one is still intact, so I'm not sure if I should just pull this one out and put the new one in, or just leave this one in and return the one I bought. It still seems pretty solid in there, if it's pretty good, so honestly I might just leave this in here. But yeah, you always want to buy one of these if you have an automatic car just like me, because this is notorious for breaking. This seems to be okay in here, so I'm just going to leave it and just put the new tank in. Okay, so basically what you want to do is off the old tank, you want to get this little mounting hardware, this bracket, and just slip this on just like that, because we're going to be reusing this just like that. You see, on, off, just like that. Now you just take your tank and you get it seated back on here. So you just, first before you do all that, you take your coolant level sensor and you just hook this on. Careful not to break this because it's very fragile. So you just take your sensor, put it in the hole, it's backwards, there you go. It's still on backwards, twist it on just like that. So now you just clip it on, and now you just seat your tank. So basically you get it lined up, you got a little hook here where it hooks onto the expansion tank mounting bracket. You just press it on, get a good grip on it. I just heard it plop in there, so it should be robust, it looks solid. Push the clip back in so that's locked in place. Give it a good nudge or two, and that's basically it. Get your hose back on the tank here, clip it on, push the metal clip down, and now you can just start hooking up your upper radiator hose. Alright, so now you just take your upper radiator hose and again just undo the clip. You got 2 of these clips here just like that. Pop both of these out. In all 3 locations, this end goes on the thermostat, these 2 on the expansion tank. So just get this on. Make sure this is very snug because you don't want any leaks. So thermostat, that's all snug. And now the two that go on the radiator and on the tank, get those all snug. Make sure they click. You just have to wiggle these back on. But the lip of the hose should line up with this little line here on the radiator expansion tank bracket, so that's how you know when it's in all the way. If anything, it might be easier to use a pair of pliers here, or a couple screwdrivers to just force them back together. So if you have those, take advantage of them, but I was able to wiggle it back on. And once you're confident that it's on, you just press the tabs back down, get it to lock in place. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our air box back on because we're basically done with that. The tank has been replaced, everything's seated, everything is snug, so we can start assembling the car back. So you just take your air filter housing and you line it up. Yep. Get these two clips on to get it hooked up to the upper intake boot, just like that. Now you take your two 10mm bolts and you just bolt it back to the frame. Make sure this is tight so therefore you don't hear any squeaks, you know, when you're driving down the road. That happened to me before and it was annoying. So, you know, when you take something off, just make sure you put it back on, right? Okay, so basically at this point you just hook up your center air duct. This is pretty simple. Clips on just like that. Put the pop rivets back in. Alright guys, so that pretty much sums up how to change the expansion tank on an E46. So as you can see, it was a pretty straightforward job. 15 minutes or so. So really you just got to get the air duct off the air filter housing, get the upper radiator hose off. There's another coolant hose running from back there that goes to the transmission, I believe it is, to cool that. Or if not, it runs from the back of the block. I'm pretty sure it's the back of the block. After that, you just pull on these metal clips and the tank pops right off, and you just put a new one on, and that's about it. So that shows you how to do that. I'm going to make another video that shows you how to bleed the system properly. So if you are working on any part of the cooling system on this car, you're going to want to see that video because you want to make sure you bleed it right so you get all the air out and you don't keep air trapped in there, which can, you know, blow something else, and then you got to spend more time and money getting it fixed. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this DIY. Please check out the channel for more content. Thank you very much and take care.